On today's show, we have a guest who's been an entrepreneur since the age of 8, and he is helping us understand how to build our business in a way to have impact and not just income, and so that you can live your best life living it each day at a time. Jim Sabellico. All right, Leadership Nation. So glad that you could join us today with our guest, Jim Sabellico. Jim, glad to have you here today.
Glad to be here, Neil. Excited
Well,
for
Jim,
it.
I want to. Sorry, what was that?
I said I'm just excited for it. This is
I,
it's such a fun topic. I love to speak on it.
that's awesome. I want to get into a little bit of your past because you've got some interesting stuff to share there. But before we do that, I really want to frame it around, what's the biggest problem that people face with regards to business? Because you being a business coach, I think that you can really speak to that topic.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick it down to one item that people have a big problem with, it's they're chasing the wrong priority.
Mm,
A lot of times people look at their priority is to grow the business, which makes it
okay.
kind of abstract, or the priority is to make $1 million in a year, which doesn't really do anything. It's a number, right? It doesn't
Yes.
equate to what impact you're going to have. It doesn't paint the full picture. So I think for a lot of people, they don't really paint the right priority for themselves so that they have a tangible goal and something that's a real driving force, an actual impact, a purpose that they're going to be driving to. So
Mm,
a lot of people get into that sticky situation where, as a business owner, you have to be comfortable getting punched in the face over and over and over again. And when you're not dead set in your purpose, you're going to give up, or you're going to have those times where you're just not feeling it and your work output's going to suck. The deeper that you can get into your purpose, and the more you can align with having an actual proper vision for where your business needs to go, you're going to be able to kind of coast through those bad days and those downturns. And yeah, it's still going to suck. You're still going to have days where you just feel like everything's going wrong.
yeah.
But that's when your purpose kicks in and reminds you have to keep going because X, Y, and Z, whatever your purpose is.
Mm, yeah. That's going to be made into a TikTok promo. Let me ask this question because I that all sounds nice, but I don't know if you've seen my bills, Jim, but I've got to make money in my business to be able to pay those bills. I don't know that I've got time for purpose.
It's a valid complaint. A lot of people are like, "Well, go tell that to the mortgage company." I get it. Like, everyone's got
Yeah.
bills they got to pay, right? You can't pay your bills with good intentions.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, we'll get into a little bit more backstory later. But
Yeah.
um, I've I've been down the road of chasing success in the form of money,
Right.
and part of what I want to convey to people is that didn't solve any real problems. Like, having
Okay.
a plethora of money, okay, you could pay your mortgage, you could pay your bills, but it created more problems than it solved. So
Mm,
focusing on just creating money doesn't necessarily solve the bigger picture. It solves that immediate need because you've got bills that are due on the 30th, but you get yourself stuck in this cycle of, all right, I got the bill paid. Now I need to figure out how I'm going to get more money to pay the bill next month. But you're
yeah.
not creating that system where you're actually growing your business because other people are on your journey and you're building that purpose with a team and a real system. That's when the money is more of a byproduct. So
Hmm.
yeah, the initial hurdle is definitely there, but once you can kind of get over that, that's when I think the real system comes into play.
Mm. So are we talking about if someone wants to start a business, they need to figure out what their purpose is, or can we apply this to people that are already have a business and they're trying to figure out where to go? Because I think typically, if you've already got a business, you're at least moving the vehicles. Sometimes I think it might be easier to do what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's both. You know, I've never been a big fan of business plans, so to speak. Like,
Yes.
if you want to start a business, then just go start the business, right? Taking time to make diligent notes, and it's helpful, but I've always found action to be the best first step there. So for
Mhm.
people who are just starting a business, it's helpful to have a reason why you want to start that business rather
Yeah.
than just to make money, because you can make money in a whole different way, a bunch of ways, but to make an impact, you have to be chasing a purpose.
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
for people who have an existing business, I don't think it's too late to figure that out. You can have a business that's 5, 10, 15 years old that's running, right? You've got 10 employees, you're making some revenue, things are working, you have a stable paycheck, but
Yeah.
where's it going? What legacy is that business leaving? What is that business growing to? What are you aspiring to be? So it's never too late to figure out what your purpose is and then take the foundation you've built over the past 5, 10 years and use it as a starting block to say, all right, we're going to shed some of our bad customers. We're going to shed some of the bad practices. We're going to evolve as a business.
Mhm.
And this is what we're going to evolve into. So I don't think it's ever too late.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing is it's really about if you really want to make money, what I'm hearing is you need to focus on the impact, not the income.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's great. Now I'm going, all right. So I've got a business. I want to make more of an impact secretly because I want to make more of an income. I don't know how to not focus on those bills. And as I grew up, the only way I knew how to keep record was the zeros in the bank account. So what are you suggesting that how do people realign themselves and start looking at purpose so that they can really power up their business?
Yeah, I think the big thing there is changing what metric you put on the scoreboard.
Okay.
So instead of having that scoreboard where you're looking at how many zeros are in my bank account to measure my success, look at how many customers my customers are able to serve, right?
Hmm.
So from my perspective, one of the main things that I do now is a digital agency. We do web design and marketing. The way that we operate in house is looking at our customers' customers. So our
Okay.
metric of success is the growth of our customers. We want our customers to be able to grow because we know that they can serve their customers and their families and so on.
Hmm.
So we measure our success based on the success of our customers, not how much they pay us, not how much monthly recurring revenue we are able to do, not how much profits left, but how much of an impact we are able to have in the lives of the people that our business touches.
Hmm. Why? I'm just curious now. Why is it that so many people do focus on the dollars then rather than trying to like I mean, with business plans, I mean, so they even teach business plans in school, and they're always talking about what's your mission statement and what's your purpose and vision and all these kind of things. And somewhere along the way, typically we go, Yeah, that's nice." And when we've got a gigantic Fortune 500 company, but I don't, I I don't still don't see how that's going to solve anything right now for me.
I think it's the short sightedness of people to see the big picture.
Ooh,
And it's easy for people to understand I can make $1 million and that'll make me successful, right?
yeah.
It's an easy goal. It's the picture everyone paints, right? They want to have the big house, the nice car, the bank
Yeah.
account. They want to live that life that they think comes with building $1 million business.
Hmm.
But not enough people actually reach that goal and then come back and say, hey, that's not going to get you what you want out of life, right? There's
Hmm.
not enough people, in my opinion, who are reaching the $1 million a year goal, coming back and saying, no, that's not it. That's not what you want. That's not what
Mhm,
success looks like. What success looks like is this, right?
mhm,
Everyone just has this social media view of what being a successful person looks like. They have all these great ideas of how to be successful, but no actual path. And all of those ideas will lead them to a place they don't want to be.
ooh, okay. Um, can you say more about that?
Yeah,
About,
I
going
can.
down that path?
Sure. So you've probably heard the expression, you want to work until your idols become your rivals, right? Um,
Ooh, I hadn't heard that
Good
one
one.
before.
Well, now you have.
Yeah.
So the principle there is what you want to do. when you're starting a business is you want to work so hard that the people that you used to look up to are now your competitors, are now the people who are on your level.
Yeah.
For me personally, I had the good fortune to be in that scenario where when I first started doing web design marketing, I looked up to titans of the industry, people that had success, who had the cars, the lifestyle, the stuff that you picture as what you're going to receive when you get to that level of success.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked my butt off, got to a point where I was in rooms with those people, having conversations, doing work alongside of them. And ultimately, in that moment, which I thought was what I wanted, is when I realized that those people weren't living the life that they portrayed. And I
Okay.
mean that in two ways. One of it was they either did not have the things that they were saying they had on social media. They had financing out the rear for their house, their car. They're in all this debt, and not the good
Mm.
kind of debt.
Yeah.
Or they had zero morals. And when I looked around the room of the people that I used to look up to, and I'm now sitting there as equals to or rivals to, it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't comfortable because I didn't want to be in that crowd. I didn't look at
Mhm.
those people and say, those are men that I aspire to be more like. That's not the type of person that I want to be. It's not the type of person I want my kids to be. So, and that's what I mean by, like, when you think of that's where you want to be successfully, sometimes when you get there, you realize that's really not all it was like cracked up to be, right? A little bit of
Mhm.
smoke and mirrors, and you realize a little bit more. Success has a different, uh, it looks different from that vantage point. Like when you
Yeah.
climb the mountain and you actually get to the top, you realize the view is a little bit different than you thought it would.
Mm. Yeah. I heard a great quote one time that oftentimes people will be climbing that mountain and they get a good distance up the mountain and they realize when they're up there that to get to the peak, they're probably never going to be able to get to the peak from where they are because that next level or whatever is just too sheer. It's too difficult. And rather than come back down and move over and try on the other side of the mountain. They'd rather just kind of hang out there with really small growth at that point in time. I've gotten here. I'm not going back. I might as well just stay here. Um, and I've seen that played out where people get to a point, they're making that money, they're so-called enjoying that level, but they're like, that's it. I'm never going to actually get to where I want to, but that's just the way life is.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of those people, um, you know, I think in that scenario, their purpose for reaching the top of that mountain is not powerful enough to push them to continue. Right?
Hmm.
They get to that spot where the view is good enough. They could see as much as they really wanted to,
Hmm.
but there's not enough of a purpose actually pushing them to go further, to climb back down, move over, and start over to get actually where they wanted to go.
Yeah.
Because they got enough of what they wanted, they reached a point where they're comfortable enough. But in my opinion, being a leader is not about seeking a level of comfort. As a leader, you should be seeking discomfort. You should be pushing yourself to the point where you're finding opportunities to create comfort for generations behind you, right? I don't want to be getting to a point where I'm comfortable and then that's it, I'm good. I want to get to a point where I'm so comfortable that I have to look for a way to become uncomfortable again,
Yeah.
and continue to seek out new ways to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Um, I don't know that you're painting a very desirable picture at the moment, Jim. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, do I really want to be uncomfortable? If someone's listening right now and they're thinking, Jim, I don't know that I want to be that discomfort that you're talking about, um, and I'm not. I'm just not seeing what that is really going to change in my life. How do you articulate to someone the difference of seeking impact, the power in seeking impact and purpose rather than just seeking income?
So, what I'll say is picture way back when to when you were 6 months old and
Yeah.
you couldn't move. You were just crawling on the floor. You were happy crawling around the floor, finding fun things to play with. But then you're like, nah, there's more. I'm going to try and walk, right? And
Yeah.
people, your coaches, your parents tried to guide you to walk. And the
Yeah.
first couple times you fell down on your face, which was uncomfortable, you fell down on your face.
Yeah.
But eventually you kept going, you kept trying, and you didn't say, I'm never going to be able to walk. You just kept trying until you eventually did.
Mhm.
So that's the analogy I think I would use there. Like that
Mhm.
change from crawling on the floor to walking was uncomfortable. You just didn't realize
Mhm.
it because you were 6, 8, a year old.
Mhm.
But if you want to just crawl around in your life, if you want your business to be crawling around, stay that way. Doesn't matter to me. I want you to be successful. But if you are happy just crawling around on the floor for the rest of your life, that's
Yeah.
fine. If you have
Yeah.
bigger goals and bigger dreams for yourself, you're going to have to be a little uncomfortable to push yourself
Mhm.
out of where you are to where you ultimately want to be. But
Yeah.
walking around, there's no argument that walking around is a way more efficient way to get around as an adult than crawling, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's that discomfort that we all have to go through.
Mhm. Yeah. I think one of the things I'm hearing here is that, you've got to get to that point where you recognize that you're uncomfortable in your current situation, that it's not creating that fulfillment. You're not enjoying what you're doing. And what you're really painting a picture to is that there is another way. There is a way to be able to enjoy it and, still be making money and building your life. It's almost like you're talking about, hey, you need to think about how you're building your life as opposed to just how you're building your business.
Right. Yeah, I think there's
Yeah.
there's too much of a idea that discomfort is a bad thing. Like,
Yeah.
look at any
Yeah.
any moment in your life where you've changed for the better, you've been uncomfortable in the process.
Right.
You had to have been. So, like, look at discomfort as an opportunity for growth. And when you shift the way that you
Yeah.
view discomfort, that's when you start to seek out opportunities to become uncomfortable. It's an
Mhm.
opportunity for growth. It's not a problem. It's not a bad thing. It's highlighting an area in which you need to grow. And you are going to grow until you become comfortable again in that scenario. And once you become comfortable, then you're like, all right, now let me push a little bit further, find a new area of discomfort, and then keep growing. And that's the way that we can continue to grow and evolve. If we
Mhm.
don't continue to seek discomfort, then we become complacent, and then kind of what's the point?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, even in real life, when people work their whole life and then retire, even if they don't have their own business, they statistically, uh, it's an insane number of people that, especially men, that die within the first 5 years of retiring. It's
Right.
like you've done this, and whatever you've done is over, and there's now they're just passing away because there's no reason for them to get up at all. And
Right.
I actually like what you're talking about here and what you're creating because I think if we look at any of our mentors or any of the people that we admire, the people that we think are great, you think of someone like Usain Bolt, who fastest man in the world, and has set all these records, and there is no way for him to be comfortable and set all those things. Every single step that he has to do has to he has to enjoy a certain amount of discomfort, which allows him to improve. And that's what I'm hearing that we can literally do in our businesses right now. And is there is there a way to continue doing what you're doing and seek out your purpose at the same time? Because there's no let's be honest, right? Like who's got the time to stop, shut down, and let me spend some time figuring out what my purpose is. That doesn't even sound realistic.
All of us have the time. We all get the same amount of time, right? So it's about your priorities. And I think
Ooh,
if
okay.
you make it a
Start calling
priority,
out people's priorities. All right. Gonna make
if
some
you make
enemies
it a
now.
priority to
Yeah.
spend time on certain things, you'll find the time, right?
Mm,
You'll always find time to do things when you have to do them.
yeah.
But when they become, I don't really want to, or it's not that important, it gets
Yeah.
pushed off because it just becomes not a priority.
Yeah.
But if you make it a priority in your life, you make it part of your routine. you'll find the time to figure that out. And you should always be spending time with yourself. For me personally, I like to do it first thing in the morning before there's any distractions, before anything else is going on, to look at what's a priority for me in my life and where am I going? What can I do today to move me further ahead than I was yesterday? And it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be this insane goal that's unachievable. In our house, we strive to be 1% better today than we were yesterday. That's it.
Mhm.
I don't have expectations that you're going to be an amazing overnight success story. Right? If you go look at any overnight success story, those people have been hustling and grinding for months, if not years.
Yeah.
And the only time they're an overnight success story is when news media picks up on them because they didn't pay attention to them in all those dark times.
Mhm.
They've been working on their craft. They've been spending the time. They've been making that a priority in their life. So I think if you want to make the argument that people don't necessarily have the time to work on themselves as a leader, as a person in their personal life or their business, I'd argue back that it's just not a priority to them to grow, to reach that next level. And I think
Mhm.
the reason why it's not a priority is because they haven't become aligned with their purpose. And the closer that you are to aligning yourself with your true purpose for why you're existing here on this earth,
Mhm.
the more that you're willing to work tirelessly to reach that purpose.
Hmm. Okay. I want to hear more about this, about the purpose and being able to figure that out. But let's just. I want to just ask something different. Have you always been like this? Like, have you always been like, oh, I got to be focused on my purpose? Have you always been? I'm taking time in the morning to do this.
Um, no, I've definitely evolved that particular skill set more so in the past probably 3 years, two and a half,
Yeah,
3 years.
yeah. What
Um,
instigated that? How did that come about?
there was a
Because you
period in
you
time.
actually got into business when you were, like, 8 years old, if I remember correctly from, you
Correct.
know. Yeah. So what was, that big shift, of 3 years ago?
Um, really, similar to what I was talking about before, where your idols become your rivals. Very
Mm,
closely related to that. Um, I at the time, like you said, I started my first business when I was 8.
yeah,
I was like, cutting grass around the neighborhood,
yeah,
but like not just my house, and my parents would give me $10 a week. I was literally walking around, block to block, and I had customers as an 8-year-old
yeah,
kid. So you're making a couple $100 a week as
yeah,
an 8-year-old kid, and this was in the 90s.
yeah,
It was pretty good money.
yeah.
So
I'm gonna
I've
get my
been
kids to listen to this part, by the way.
I've been fortunate enough to be able to be financially comfortable
Yeah,
since I was a kid. After that, I used to walk people back to my house on lunch break, and we used to install wallpapers and ringtones on their Nextel phones. Like there was always
okay,
some kind of a weird side hustle that I was always making money in.
yeah,
And as I started to make more and more and grew these other businesses and was able to gain money, success in my life, I thought that was the answer. Right? I was chasing this monetary goal, and when when we had our first kid, my son who's now 8, Joseph, when we first had him, I thought in my head, I'm going to just black out focus on work and build up enough money and income to the point that when he's like 4 or 5, I can stop focusing on work and just focus on family. Right?
yeah,
That was my idea at the time. I was like,
yeah,
he's 4 or 5. At that point is when like the integral memories are going to start. And man, that was a mistake. So it was kind of at that time when I realized I looked around and I'm like, I'm busting my hump to be an incredible business person to achieve these things. I'm surrounded by a room of people who have zero morals, who I thought used to be awesome people.
mm,
I'm not spending time at home with my wife, with my kids. Why? So it was kind of at that moment when I like stopped and looked at where I am as a person and realized what you're doing ain't working. Like you've been traditionally successful, you've made money, you've done the things that most people think of as success. But what do you have? Like if you take the money away, I didn't have an amazing relationship with my wife at that point because I was never home. I was working, or when I was home, I was thinking about work, or I was doing stuff on my laptop somewhere else. I didn't have an amazing relationship with my kids at that point because I just wasn't there enough. I was too focused on work.
Yeah.
Um, so during that time, that's sort of when I started shifting more into the version of success. The definition changed for me. So it wasn't necessarily about income. It wasn't a monetary goal. It wasn't a nice cars, nice house goal. It was freedom of time and location to be able to spend time where I want, with who I want, when I want. That was
Mhm.
my definition of success that I developed from that journey.
Wow. You got me a little emotional here because I definitely ran into that personally, and it's not I'm not the only one that's been there where you sacrificed time with your kids, time with your spouse, and you did other things, building the business, thinking that you're building a life for them, and then you realize that, what do they really know about me? Yeah, I'm missing all of these parts, right? Like, I get to see my sister has young kids, and so I get to see them, and it's been I think there's something about being when you're a grandparent, right? That I'm starting to realize that if you're a grandparent, you get to be back in that moment and almost see it again and realize, because so many of us miss those moments when they're actually happening, and you have to be intentional about making that time for them and for your spouse. Otherwise, the rest of it never ends.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, as I compose myself, because now that really ticks me off, because I think about it. I had to be intentional about, all right, this is what I'm going to do, and literally block out my calendar, so that I didn't put things into certain time slots. And I think there's a lot of us that resonates with, and as a result, we start looking at, okay, what else? Because the money can't be the only thing, and that's where it starts resonating with what you're saying about finding your purpose and how to create impact. So how do you help someone then identify how they can make an impact, what their purpose is?
Um, I think the way to truly help people is to actually care, which is a thing that not a lot of people do, unfortunately.
Mm.
Especially in, like, well, let's say I'm offering a business coaching service. A lot of business coaches, again, we get in this scenario where you offer consulting
Wait,
because it's
I
good.
just want to ask this question because I hear this term a lot, business coaching. What is business coaching to you? What does that really mean?
Business coaching to me, if you had to ask me to define it in one word, I would say
Yeah, or for
scam.
your clients. Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
in
So, and
general.
here's the
Yeah.
thing: there are so many business coaches, life coaches, whatever you want to call them, that self-identify as some type of guru without having gone through the experience, without
Yeah.
having actually earned the title.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I don't want to call myself a business coach necessarily because it just has this negative connotation, especially like with internet marketer or like all that crap.
Yeah.
It's just there's too many people who are looking to take advantage for the money and not the impact.
Mhm.
Um, so if I were to coach someone, right, my my intention would be focus more on who they are as a person, where their priorities are, figure out what their aspirations are, and then to help them unlock the ability to believe that they can have those things now.
Mhm.
So a
Mm.
lot of people look at their business as a tool to grow an income to eventually retire, which I
Yeah.
think is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
First of all, none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. So why you're working today with the promise of I'll enjoy my life later,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think is crazy.
Yeah.
I would rather help you figure out a way to do both now, to live
Yeah.
in the end, to be able to work at something that you enjoy to build the legacy and enjoy your life while you're doing it. So I
Mm,
think the answer to the question is figuring out what that looks like for each individual person, because there is no right answer there. My
mm,
priorities are going to be different than yours, right? We have
mhm.
maybe a different personal life, different opinions. We all have different reasons for being here and different things that light us up. So figuring out what those things are is, I think, step one. Then it's a matter
Mhm.
of just finding ways to push in that direction and continue to evolve that gift that you have.
Yeah. One of the things that I recall and I think about even now is that when I was first starting out and first building my business and even career when I was working before in a job, one of the things that I found was that it was a lot more about me. It was a lot more about just trying to prove even to myself that I can do something or this is who like because I wasn't good enough. This is what I realized. And so I worked hard and put in these long hours trying to prove that, thinking meanwhile that I was doing things for the family, for the kids, and all that stuff. Meanwhile, um, there were so many insecurities in there, and that was what I was building with, as opposed to what you're creating right now. And I completely agree with you in terms of impact over income, because now for me, I look at it as if I'm if I'm building in a way to what I'm committed to, I'm never going to run out of energy. I'm going to outpace you any day of the week. I'm going to outwork you any day of the week because I'm having a blast, right?
Right.
Because I'm living the life I want to live as I'm doing it. And what you said, money becomes the byproduct. You get to enjoy that along the way. But it's clearly, I don't know how many people I've talked to. It's hard to get present to that.
Yeah, unfortunately, most people have to be like smacked in the face with a problem. They have to be served
Mm,
their divorce papers. They have to go through these painful situations that are going to make them realize eventually, and oftentimes it's too late. Right? A lot of
yeah,
times we don't realize until that ship has sailed,
yeah,
and that's one of my driving factors at this point for even having this conversation right now is to be able
yeah,
to just get in the ear of one person, or if there's
yeah,
one guy out there right now who's listening to this while he's at work and realizing that he's missing out on actually living his life because he's so busy trying to make one, that to me gives me inspiration to keep going and keep spreading that message and keep helping people figure that out.
okay. So if the one person is, let, let's let's uh let's make it a little bit more succinct. So if someone is listening right now and they're thinking, I'm not enjoying my life and I'm not enjoying what I'm building, uh what would you say to them?
I think you have to take a good hard look at why you're doing what you're doing. Is it
Mhm.
just solely to make income, right? Are you just trying to figure out how to pay your mortgage at the end of the month? Or are you actually building a legacy of some kind? Are you doing something
Mm,
that's going to leave people better because they
yeah,
interacted with you in their life? I think
yeah,
if the answer to that is no, then you need to figure out a way, and there is a way for everyone to actually to serve in your gift and to be able to help people. And again, I'm a full believer that when you align with your purpose and when you figure out what your gift is going to make room for you. Your gift is going to give you the
mm,
opportunity to
yeah,
get in the room with people, to be able to serve and to be able to help them. And money is going to come as a byproduct of that.
yeah,
You just have to lean in and have the faith that if you are willing to serve, whatever your gift is, right? Everyone has an ability to do something. Doesn't
yeah,
matter what it is, we're all different.
yeah,
But focusing on, I just need to get the money today, not focusing on how can I leave today better than I started it, is I think the mistake that one listener is having right now. And I would just encourage them to have a deep conversation with themselves and figure out what that really means, right? What they're trying to figure out, what their purpose is. If you
yeah.
can't figure it out, call me. I'll help you.
That's
Yeah.
great. Well, it just makes me think of a scripture in the Bible that actually says that your gift will bring you before kings, and oftentimes people are busy trying to get in front of kings, in front of royalty, in front of famous people, in front of all these people that they're impressed by, and not realizing that it's the gift that brings you before them.
Right.
Okay. So I get that. So now we're trying to work on our purpose, trying to identify what that is. Is there something that you can tell us about that, or how to start moving down that direction? Jim, I realize that I'm not happy where I am, and I want to start enjoying making an impact and living a life of purpose with my business. How is that? Or do I need to leave my business and go start a new business? What are we talking about here? What do I need to
So
do?
that's a tough question, but I have a good answer for it. So
Okay.
two things. One is, the first thing you need to do is figure out what it is that makes you happy, because
Yeah.
there's something for everyone, right? There's
Oh my
something, and it
goodness.
could
Now we're
be,
doing an infomercial. What makes you happy? All right.
but there's one thing that you will spend as much time as you want, right? When time doesn't matter. When you're
Yeah.
doing this one thing, doesn't matter. You enjoy it so much that you could do it forever. The stress fades away. It's that one thing you enjoy doing. It could be gardening, it could be drawing, it could be cooking, it could be whatever it is. There's one thing in your life that just brings you inspiration and happiness. And then part two of that is, why are you not doing that? For most people, you can just go do it. You're not doing it because you think that there's something blocking you from being able to spend time doing that, or there's a reason why you're not allowed to. But the reason is because you're just not letting yourself do it. Find
I'm
out what makes you
sorry.
happy.
I clearly have not grown up yet, because you talked about that and I thought, no, my wife doesn't let me whenever I want to. But I'm sorry, you totally took me off track. This is a PG
Yes.
podcast. Okay, great. We're talking about what can we do, what do we love doing, and Jim, I actually, I had this conversation today. Oh my goodness, I had this conversation today. I told someone, you know what, I loved drawing. I used to love that, and I thought to myself, or my dad was did auto body and mechanic, and I really enjoyed it, but I thought to myself, I absolutely do not want to do this for money. I do not want money to be involved. I want to do this kind of stuff just for fun.
Right. So why not?
So so yeah, so I can do that for fun, but should I be looking at that more when it comes to business?
I would. And, like I said before, I think when you lean into your gift and you lean into the thing
Mm,
that really brings you, it fills your cup, it brings you energy, right? Whatever that
yeah,
is. If for you it's drawing, right?
yeah.
You can spend your
Actually,
time.
for me, I realize for me, it's community. Like being with other people. It's why I even enjoy this. I love to learn and hear other people's experiences, and I think much like you, I enjoy that process of being able to share what I've learned, what the wars that I've been through, and how you can impact someone else. And so, for me, I think there's a lot more about community that I enjoy.
Right. So let's go with that example.
Okay,
If
come on.
community lights you up, right, and
Yeah,
you get so much satisfaction from having conversations with other people,
yeah,
there is nothing holding you back from, let's say you don't have this platform, right?
yeah.
You have your iPhone in your pocket. There's nothing stopping you from recording videos on your phone, talking to other people. Go walk out on the street, stand on Main Street, grab your phone, and just talk to strangers and ask them questions. There's plenty of examples. You can go on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, whatever it is, and you'll find people who are doing that, who are able to generate so much money that they're able to help the people that they meet on the street
Mhm.
because they enjoy talking to people. Right? There's one
Yeah,
guy, I think his name is Jimmy Darts or something like that, who all he's doing is taking his phone, going to talk to random strangers in Walmart, asking them a favor. If they accept his favor, he'll give them an act of kindness. That dude is raising so much money from people who are donating to him.
yeah.
He personally is financially set, and all the
Mm.
people in his circle are now financially set because he's out there doing something. He's got his phone. He just walked up to strangers in Walmart. Like the
Yeah.
obstacle to doing that is the belief that you can.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping you from just going and figuring out what it is that lights you up
Yeah.
and just leaning in.
Yeah. Yeah. You got me already. I love that. Someone mentioned to me doing something like that during COVID, and I was like, okay, well, maybe we can't do it during COVID, but it sounds like fun. It kind of hit for me. That kind of also hits the adventure button, right? You want to build community, but there's also some adventure there because who knows what you run into when you're on the street and you ask somebody a question and they think you're crazy and they think you're this, but no, say away, you're not wearing your mask, back away from me, any of those kind of things. But it also hits that adventure button. So I hope for people that are listening, they're seeing that there's this aspect to it where you can really enjoy yourself and hit those buttons that really light you up. What you're saying there, that's amazing. Now, I think more often than not, more people would be like, no, Jim, that's absolutely not what I want to do. But I'm not really sure what lights me up. I hear that all the time. People are like, I want to start a business, but I don't really know what interests me.
Yeah, then don't start a business. That's number one. I mean, that person is starting a business because they want to get money, which
Right.
is the wrong reason to start a business.
Right.
Like, if they were really passionate about helping, I don't know, adopted kittens find homes,
Yes.
spend your
Okay.
free time doing that. If you spend your time after, let's say you work your 9 to 5, and you spend your free time instead of watching Netflix, go volunteer at an animal shelter. Go start
Mm,
a website using Squarespace for free and make a adoption database for your local community, and then go talk to people. There's
hmm
nothing stopping you from helping. You can do something. It may not have to be the best thing ever. It may not be $1 million business plan tomorrow, but if you are really inspired by a certain thing and that thing calls to you, it doesn't matter what it is.
hmm
Spend some of your time dedicated to what lights you up instead of scrolling through TikTok, watching Instagram, watching Netflix, just things that just fill dead space in your brain.
mm,
And spend time in that, and you will start to create the connections that are going to bring you places. Right? That
hmm
person who's spending time at the local adoption center, maybe the guy who owns 5 businesses who's looking to expand happens to come in because he wants to adopt a kitten, and you spark up a conversation.
Yeah.
Those things, sure, it's funny, but like those things
Mm-hmm.
happen by putting yourself in the right situation. Your
Mm-hmm.
intentions are pure, you're doing something you love, you're passionate, and then people recognize that, and that's how you create opportunities for yourself. And I
Yeah.
think that's the thing that a lot of people miss out on is they think, oh, this person got lucky. No, they worked really hard and they created the opportunity,
Yeah.
and someone recognized that in them.
Yeah.
And if you are willing to work hard and be diligent about that and be disciplined in that, that's when opportunity gets created. It's not luck. I'm not a believer in luck. We don't get lucky. Like, we create those opportunities by being disciplined and creating them for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I can think of even my own journey that I realized that what eh, coming from my background, coming from the hood and this kind of stuff, there's really something in there that burns in me when it comes to the underdog story. Like someone who they have no reason for being able to come up and being able to help those people for where they're at and help them come up, which is why being in real estate investing, I love working with investors or people that want to get into this space that are like, I don't know how to do this, but I want to do this for my family. I want to pick up, I want to enjoy all of these other aspects. And I feel I get a real burning desire when it comes to being able to empower people in that way. Right. And that's just the way that I've chosen my outlet. Probably has something to do with the fact that we grew up in the hood. And so, um, owning real estate never seemed realistic to me growing up. So there's a real power in it for me. But yeah, what you're saying resonates. I think people can see themselves. They're like, I'm doing this every day, in and out. I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I'm not entirely sure what it is that lights me up, but I want to I want to do more of that. I want to spend more time. Are there some practices that you suggest to people to get started? Things that they can do? Okay, I'm going to spend some time. Like, what do I do? Start journaling the things? Do I write down a list of things I like? What am I doing here?
Um, I mean, that would help. Trying things is
Okay.
a thing, right? A lot of people are afraid to try.
Yes. Oh
Which
my goodness. You could talk about that for an hour.
yeah, I think the thing there is they don't realize they're gonna die. And I don't
Yeah.
want this to be somber, but
Yeah.
like a lot of people are like, I'm afraid to because what if I'm embarrassed? Okay, what if you get run over by a bus tomorrow and you never had the
Yeah.
opportunity because you were afraid to be embarrassed? Like
Yeah.
people put too much emphasis on what other people think.
Mm.
Um, they're not realizing the fact that they're being judged regardless, right? Other people are always judging
Yeah.
you for who you are, what you're doing, even when you're not impacting their life at all. But too many people are afraid to try things for
Mm.
fear of
Yeah.
embarrassing themselves or not being good at it. But
Yeah.
they need to get over that fear and just try, just do it, just
Yeah.
commit to trying. So
Yeah.
that's definitely one. But the other one I think would be practicing gratitude and being grateful for the things that you have in your life. Um,
Mm.
every morning when I wake up,
Mm.
the very first thing that happens is I open my eyes and out loud I say, "Thank you for this opportunity. I will not waste it."
Wow.
Every morning.
Yeah.
And that has been a grateful practice for me because I realize I wasn't I wasn't guaranteed the opportunity to wake up that day. I could have gone to bed and been gone, right? It could happen in an instant. But for me, when I get that opportunity, I know that I can't waste it. I know that I might not get that opportunity tomorrow. So that goes back to kind of the first point is that people don't realize how precious the gift of life is and how quickly
Mm.
it can change. And that's something that, not that I wish everyone had a near death experience, but on some level,
Yeah.
I do wish people took seriously how fragile life is and how important it is to live every day as if it were your last.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I actually consider myself fortunate to have been able to have a near death experience. And but I think if you guys are watching, if you're listening right now, I think that's a powerful statement. Thank you for this opportunity. I will not waste it. And framing your day for how do I make the most of this opportunity for what's in front of me, and creating it, not just sitting around hoping that it turns out well.
Right.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Legit. That's the
Sure.
name of your company, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about what you guys do.
So Legit is a freelance platform,
Mm.
and what it is essentially it connects buyers and sellers who are looking for any type of digital service,
Okay.
whether that's marketing, website design, logos, SEO, writing, video editing. There's all sorts of different categories for services people can offer,
Hmm.
um, and what we aim to do and kind of our mission there is to help people actually get more stuff done, and not
Okay.
in the sense of I just need a cheap logo. We're looking to connect someone who their passion is logo design, and this logo is going to help this business help their community, right? So
Mm.
we're more so invested in the community aspect of it rather than just making a buck off connecting these two people. So what our goal is to really build that platform to empower people to grow their business and grow their lives. So that's
Okay.
really like the mission behind what we're doing is really focusing on the quality of the people in the community more so
Yeah.
than just finding someone to make a quick logo or a quick website or something. It's really more so the community aspect and developing people because it really gives you an opportunity to connect worldwide. And that's, I think, one of
Mm.
the most impactful things that we see on a day-to-day basis is there's some guy in Ireland who's buying a website from some guy in Philippines and they're connecting. Right now, you're transferring revenue from one spot to another. you're giving that dude in the Philippines an opportunity to feed his family he might not have had before because he didn't have a place to do it or a way to connect to that dude in Ireland.
Hmm.
So, creating that opportunity, um, it allows people all over the world to help themselves, to empower themselves, to kind of chase that opportunity. And I think just to circle back before, let's say there's that guy who's working his 9 to 5 and he's really not fulfilled, but he loves drawing. All right, now you've got a platform where you can go at no cost to you, go create a service to draw pictures of people, right? Maybe you enjoy it, you create a price, people start paying you for your drawings. There are plenty of examples that we have of people who have quit their 9 to 5 because they've been able to earn enough of income selling services through this platform where
Mm.
now they can just be themselves, do what they're doing, and they're getting revenue coming in, they're getting orders coming in, they're getting money coming in to do this thing that they're good at that they enjoy.
Hmm.
So I think that all kind of ties in very neatly with that purpose.
And how do you spell that?
Legiit, which
Yeah,
is actually
legit.
incidentally right.
Oh, there you
Legit.
go. .com.
Yes.
Legit.com. Too legit to quit. Okay. Legit.com. That's great. And so people can go on there, if because I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking for, but let's say I'm looking to rebrand, I'm looking for new logos, like you said, or something like that. I can go on there and search through profiles and find people that are doing that kind of stuff, and their goal is to, and what you're really differentiating is that these people are not just looking to put out a product, but they're looking to make sure that it's in line with what i'm I'm trying to achieve, the impact I'm trying
Correct.
to make. Yeah.
Yep, and that's one of the reasons why we chose the name Legit at the time was because we were very frustrated with scammers and spammers and people who were just in it to try and make a quick buck by like white labeling someone else's services.
Yeah.
We want everyone's experience there to be building a legit business, right? We want them to actually be doing what they love and growing an income because of it, not just there to make a
Mm.
quick buck. So we are very strict on maintaining a high quality standard
Hmm.
because we know that like there's other crappy sites that I won't mention that you can go to and get cheap.
Yeah.
But if you want something that's a legit service that's going to actually impact the life of someone else on the other end,
Yeah.
that's kind of the platform that we aim to create.
So how does that fit into your business coaching?
Um, in a weird way, I spend a lot of time working with sellers more so, but
Hmm.
to help them better their profile. So
Right.
let's say you have a profile and you're selling logos. Maybe I'll spend a little bit of time with you to figure out, hey, if you optimize your sales copy a little bit or add some more images to your portfolio, it'll help you grow and get some more sales.
Mm.
And that it benefits the platform, it benefits them, it benefits their prospective buyers, it kind of benefits everyone. So
Yeah.
for me to be able to pour a little bit of that magic seasoning on top to kind of help everyone in the mix benefit, it's
Yeah.
really it's a win-win.
That's awesome. So, okay, so just as be cognizant of your time as we're talking about, what are you working on right now? What's next up for Jim?
Um, Next up for me, honestly, is a lot more of this. I've at this stage of my life in this season I'm in right now, I'm looking to spend more time working with individuals one on one to just
Mhm.
help them shape their direction. It's
Yeah.
not so much I want to help you figure out the marketing hack that's going to 10x your business with this email trick. I don't really care
Yeah.
about that anymore. Like I've
Yeah.
I've been down that road. It's fine. I can still help you if you need it. But I'd
Yeah.
rather figure out how can we structure your business or how can we change your focus and help you figure out your purpose to be able to actually live a life that has the
Mhm.
freedom to do what you want, when you want, with who you want.
Mm.
So that to me is where I want to spend more time is just pouring into the community to help people figure that out. Like,
Mhm.
we said before, tomorrow's not guaranteed. So if you're spending
Yeah.
today at a job you hate and then you're going home to a wife who you don't talk to, and your kids you hardly even know, why? Like,
Yeah.
fix that and fix that today. And my
Yeah.
purpose of this season is to find those people and help them.
Yeah. 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 I find all too often mo- many people are either living in the past, with what what they didn't do, the opportunities they didn't take, or, oh, I did this well, so they're trying to always do that well. And they're living in that past, or they're living in somewhere in the future where, you know, someday I'm going to be able to do this. Someday I'm going to, and this is, meanwhile, the moment right here, right now passes them by. And they're not present to what they're doing, who they're being, the people around them, and as a result, it's real easy to miss life. So I love what you're sharing there about really bringing people back to today,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I
Tomorrow's
think
got enough problems of its own.
the idea for me and kind of what's on my heart is like this podcast, right? It's leadership to wealth, right?
Yeah,
We want people to lead and to be wealthy, but I think a
yeah.
lot of people don't necessarily have the right vision of wealth, and
Mm,
that's like a lot of people look at wealth as more money than I can spend, and that's as
yeah,
far as their definition goes.
yeah,
But to me, wealth is having an abundance of things in all areas of your life.
yeah,
And that's not just your bank account, that's
yeah,
love, kindness, family, support. Like all
yeah.
those things are equally, if not more important than what's in your bank account.
Right, right. Well, I mean, for me, the podcast really finances, family, fitness, faith, and fighting, and football is in there too. There's a whole bunch of F's there, um, but I realized those are things that are authentic to me, the things that light me up, things I love talking about, the things I love growing in, and I know that people may not be fans of football, they may not be fans of UFC and mixed martial arts and stuff like that. But to me, I enjoy those things because there's a certain aspect of them that I won't get into that lights me up. But to me, those items are wealth. Finances is just a part of that.
Right.
And yes, making money allows me to do a lot of the other things, allows me to be involved in those. Like I just recently got my credentials for the UFC to be able, if I wanted to go to an event and be a reporter or something like that, right? I was
Right.
thought, I don't know if that's something I want to do, but let's get into it. Let's learn a little bit about that. And I think what you're really showing us, and definitely in line with what I hope that people hear, is that the opportunities that are out there for you to live in that world of impact that you want to be, and the opportunities are there. And so if people want to get a hold of you, they want to learn more about the coaching, they want to pick your brain and go, is this, can you help me in this area? How do people get a hold of you?
JimSabellico.com. That's probably well, not you're going to spell it, but it's on the screen. So JimSabellico.com. You can go right there. You can find me on
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, any of those. I will be responsive to.
Yes, we'll have all that in the show notes so people can
Awesome.
find you. That's awesome. And do they just email you or set up an appointment or something like that?
Whatever floats your boat. Whether you want to
Yeah,
message me on Instagram or send me a message on Facebook or shoot me an email
yeah,
through my website. Whatever it is,
yeah.
I'll find it one way or another. If you
Okay.
let's do this, if you want to get a hold of me and you actually want to, you'll find a way. There's plenty of opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, guys, if you're listening, Jim's not going to make it easy for you, but you can find him, and you'll know the value of what he provides by looking for him and going through that little bit extra effort. That's awesome. Jim, anything else that we need to touch on before we go?
Um, I think the only thing that I would have left to say is just really to reiterate the point that I want people to be comfortable being authentic
Mm.
in whatever that means to them. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think there's too many people who are living a life that
Wow.
isn't truly them, whether they are, they decided to become a doctor because their dad wanted them to become a doctor, but it doesn't light them up. Or they have this pressure to perform for their family, so they're out there working 24/7 to be able to provide for a family that they don't know. Um, you know, if it helps, I want to give you permission to be authentically yourself. You're
Mm.
going to get pushback from people who have used and abused you for whatever they can get from you will be upset once you start being authentic to your own personal goals.
Mm.
I want to encourage you, those people were not your friends to begin with, so don't take it too hard. Be authentically yourself, lead yourself, and understand what your purpose is. I want to encourage you to spend time in your day. I don't care when it is, even if it's just 2 minutes on your lunch break. Spend a little bit of time every day to figure out what your purpose is, what legacy you're leaving, and then push for that. And
Wow.
people who are going to support you are going to find you. If you do not find people to support you, I will stand up as one of them. Reach out. I will support you in that journey. I will always support anyone being authentically themselves, whatever that means.
That's amazing. Well, guys, I really want to encourage you guys to go look up Jim Sabellico, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel as well. Leadership here at Leadership to Wealth. We want to really thank Jim. Jim, thank you for coming on the show and sharing with us. The impact that you want to make, and the impact that each of us can make in each and every day that we live, and how we live our lives. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, guys, that's Jim, and I'm your host, Neil D'Souza. This is the Leadership to Wealth podcast, and we will see you next time.